think we're recording away. You can.
Super. Great. So thanks everyone for taking out time to talk about Bitcoin and explore Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a paradigm shift, and I'm super excited that you guys have carved out time to learn and hopefully consider Bitcoin in your portfolio mix. It's a paradigm shift. When I first came across Bitcoin, it was hard for me to understand, decipher all the aspects of Bitcoin. So we believe that everyone is a Bitcoiner. So yeah, before we start with anything, quick disclaimer: none of this is financial advice. Please do your own research before buying, investing, or doing anything on Bitcoin. This presentation is only for information, education purposes. Okay, so this is the paradigm shift that we are talking about. That everyone is against Bitcoin before they are for it. What does this mean? I started as a person which was against Bitcoin. Many of you, many of the friends and family might be against Bitcoin. It's completely okay. There will just be a time when all of us will be for Bitcoin. And just taking a sleeve out of this is what Michael Saylor had presented in one of that all of us are Bitcoin Bitcoiners, but we are at various stages of our understanding of Bitcoin, and everyone, each of us goes through these 5 stages. So we all start with denier. I was a denier. I started with saying, okay, whatever it is, it doesn't make sense. I don't want to explore it. It's meant for maybe illegals or for people who are not wanting to comply with the law. Then I moved to become a skeptic, saying, oh, okay, it seems like there's some legs to it, but most likely governments will ban it. I went through the energy part of saying it consumes too much energy, all of that. I was a skeptic. Then I became a trader, which said, oh, okay, I don't believe it in. I believe in it. I am a skeptic, but it seems to be going up in price. So let me benefit from it. So that I became a trader. Then from trader, I became an investor, which basically means it seems like perpetually every 4-year cycle keeps going up in price. So let me increase my allocation to Bitcoin. And by that time, I had spent enough time to understand Bitcoin in some more depth. And finally, I turned into a maximalist or a Bitcoin pro person, which kind of started believing that this is a paradigm shift, which changes everything that we think about how wealth, money, and finances are handled. It impacts every aspect of finance and monetary life. So this is a surprising thing. Many times we all talk about Mag 7, Mag 8, the top 8 companies in the S&P 500, and if you just see and stack rank it against all the assets in the world, Bitcoin would be the 8th ranked asset in the world. And sometimes people get surprised with it. This is the 8th already at the current $84,000 price or $85,000 price. It is the 8th largest asset by market cap out there. And if you look at all of this, this is the only asset which still has 100x potential. I'll take a pause here. This is the only asset which has 100x potential from here. Let's compare it. Many people say, oh, yeah, you made money in Bitcoin because you started early. But this is factual data from all the way from 2011 all the way to 2024. Comparisons are a little bit US centric from US NASDAQ, large caps, other stocks, convertible bonds, high yield bonds, cash, and across all asset classes. For the 14-15 year period that this compares, Bitcoin has been the best performing asset with a 150% CAGR. So these are really facts. This and the previous slide saying it is the eighth largest. I'm not cooking up these numbers. These are really like you can check this out. There's a link for this website which will be there in the presentation, which lists this uh, assets by the size, and we'll also send you the link of how of the source link of this comparison from 2011. So this is actually factual, like statistically or mathematically correct information. So now what I realized was that before I understood Bitcoin, I used to criticize it. And that's what is generally true for most people, that those who understand Bitcoin buy Bitcoin, those who understand buy Bitcoin, those who don't criticize Bitcoin. And it is so common and so methodical that there is the common doubts which are raised, that there's actually someone, and this is Nick Carter, who actually made dice of saying, if you ever have to go and talk to people who've not spent the time to understand Bitcoin, most likely they'll come up with these 6-7 arguments, and he made a dice actually out of it, that you roll the dice and one of the arguments which are listed already in the dice will be most likely the argument. So let's cover a couple of this. So we thought today we'll cover these three: energy wastage, volatile, and 21 million cap, to try and get us started in terms of how each of these are just fear, uncertainty, doubts, but are really well documented and answered questions. So let's start with energy. So this is published by the Bitcoin Mining Council, and 67% of the total energy consumption on Bitcoin mining is actually from renewable sources. So none of these other, if you look at countries full of Germany, EU, South Korea, India, all of those countries, as a country's consumption from a renewable source perspective is much lesser compared to Bitcoin mining. So yes, it consumes energy, but is it adding to what kind of energy consumption is there? And just Bitcoin mining could be an couple of hour-long presentation in itself of how it is leading to electrification, rural electrification in many places, and is able to leverage untapped smaller sources of energy. So let's look at it's volatile. So most people look at linear. So if you're seeing these two lines on this, there's the gray line and the orange line. The orange line is a line which is based on log chart, versus the gray line is what is the linear time chart which is there. So if you see the orange line, you can clearly see a pattern of a lower lows and a higher highs, which are being patterned, which the Bitcoin price, as it moves through the time, is going through, and we will further see that how it moves in a 4-year cycle. But there is a clear trend, upward north right corner trend, versus just being to look at in a short duration, it might look very volatile. This is another way to look at the 4-year cycle. So if you look at it from a circular pattern perspective, the center of the point of this circle is 2009, when Bitcoin actually came into existence, and then each circle comprises of 4 years. And if you see the price of this follows a pattern, and never the circles have crossed each other. The closest that they have come is now in April and if you see that arrow, which is which I think is the pointing for the 2021 cycle peak, which is 64K. So it'll be the first opportunity if we cross below 64K on April 13th, which has already crossed and we didn't. Is we could have potentially broken the pattern on this and or crossed the line on these circles, but never in the 14 years or 15 years of Bitcoin's history we've crossed this. So there's a clear pattern which is continuously growing in market cap and size determined by the price. So when we think about the price, one way to think about it, if we look at, instead of the yearly highs, if we look at the yearly lows. So take a minute to look at this from 2012 all the way to 2025. If you just look at what is the lowest price of Bitcoin that year, and you could see that the trend starts from $4 all the way to $76,500. And you can see that every year it is a higher low that it has gone through over a period of time through this. There was only 22, 23 when from 21 perspective, there was a little bit of reversal or a little lower than the 2021 lows. But otherwise, you can clearly see that that the price, while being volatile, is moving higher and higher. So sometimes people also talk about saying, "Oh, who is Satoshi Nakamoto? What is Bitcoin? And if it's open source, why can't I create and what is so special about it?" Bitcoin actually is 40 years of breakthrough in computer science. And I know this slide is a little illegible, and we'll send you the source site for it. This is a fishbone diagram, which lists down all the computer science breakthrough which had to happen before a perfectly engineered monetary asset could be created, which is digital in nature. So this is clear technology which has been built over years and years of research and computer science breakthrough. So literally we are, as they say, we are standing on the shoulders of giants, and this might be the perfect form of monetary asset, wealth, money that might have been created by humans till date. This is a little bit of a meme in the Bitcoin space. Or first time Bitcoin came to my desk was 2013. I think it was sub $100 for sure at that time. So the meme is everyone gets Bitcoin at the price they deserve. So we all will get Bitcoin at the price we deserve. And there's nothing wrong or right about it. It just takes time for anyone to understand. And most of us are so busy in our life that we don't want to carve out time. Because it's a paradigm shift and change from what already we are exposed to and used to, it takes a lot more time and investment of resources from a time spent to understand it before we can get started. So everyone, I have not met anyone who thinks that they could not have started early. I definitely took a lot more time. I don't think you guys should take 4 years or 5 years to understand Bitcoin. There are a lot more resources available now, and technology has become much more user friendly. There are a lot more financial products which are available today versus 2013. But everyone gets Bitcoin at the price that they deserve. Let's look at this, and this is very, very interesting. So most of us are used to real estate as a good store of value, and this is price of home in Indian rupees on an average metropolitan high scale house. Mumbai, Bangalore, Delhi NCR would be in the range. 2016, 1.9 crores, 2020, 2.4 crores, 2024, about 3.6 crores. And now measured in Bitcoin. So if in 2016, you had that house, it was 664 Bitcoin. That same house measured in Bitcoin is 6.6 Bitcoin. And in 2030, we expect that this will be anywhere between 2 or 1 Bitcoin. So effectively, everything gets cheaper when measured in Bitcoin. And if I, as a asset allocator, had allocated 100% of my capital into real estate in 2016, and a person B had allocated that same amount of capital into Bitcoin, that person would have approximately 100x of those from 2016 all the way to 2024 from a Bitcoin lens of when measured in Bitcoin perspective. And that same potential is existing for the next 10 years, which we think is the gold rush for Bitcoin adoption. This is just using the same metric for some of the other normal commodities. So if you measured home prices in Bitcoin, this is what you can see, a trend line growing down. If you measured gasoline, which is basically petrol, then that's a trend line down. And there's a link to a website that has been created, where you can go and see every price when measured in Bitcoin. So life gets cheaper when measured in Bitcoin, which is very different, right? We've always used to say everything in life gets costlier, whether it's airline ticketing, whether it's petrol, whether it's real estate, but life gets cheaper or more affordable, and things get cheaper when measured in Bitcoin. That's the beauty of Bitcoin. And now big money is coming into Bitcoin. This is Larry Fink from BlackRock. He said Bitcoin is an international asset. It has huge opportunities. It's very important that you can look at this as something that is real, because many times people feel that, hey, is it real? I can't touch it. What is it? So this is Larry Fink telling about Bitcoin. Larry and BlackRock launched the Bitcoin ETF in January of 2024. And Bitcoin ETF has been the biggest successful launch of any ETF in the history of ETF. And I don't remember the latest figures, but approximately $150 billion. If anyone has that figure, Ayush, if you have that figure, please put it in the chat or let me know. $150 billion of ETF across all the ETF that has been launched in January of 2024. This is very quickly trying to cover off. Sometimes people say, why Bitcoin and why Abhay and GetBit? Why are you guys Bitcoin only and why not top crypto? Our thesis is Bitcoin is not crypto and crypto is not Bitcoin. And these are some of the factors around which we reason of why these are two separate asset classes. In our mind, Bitcoin is a monetary asset. Think of it like digital gold. And crypto may have some technology kind of properties, and you might want to measure it as a technology lens, like a tech startup kind of equivalent lens. But almost surely no monetary properties and cannot be looked at as digital gold. So there's only one digital gold equivalent, which is Bitcoin. And what's the reason for it? Decentralization. What does it mean? There's no central authority, no individual set of people, country, nation, any of it who owns Bitcoin. There's no central authority. Almost every time in crypto, there is a controlling entity, even for the largest crypto asset, which is Ethereum. There is the Ethereum Foundation, which owns almost all the supply and they have clear discretionary roadmap of what do they want to do with that asset. So Bitcoin is the only decentralized digital asset out there. There is a supply cap. It's fixed at 21 million. So there will never, ever be more than 21 million Bitcoin. All other cryptos have unlimited supply. They can be inflationary, deflationary. They change their supply cap, so which they can change it is the problem. From a monetary asset perspective. Then from a launch method, how was it launched? Whether it was pre-mined, whether it was a fair launch. There was no pre-mine on Bitcoin. Every Bitcoin which is in circulation actually got released from the blocks that were mined. From a security perspective, it's the most secure, highest hash rate, proof of work. Versus other cryptos are low security, and concentration of ownership, which is widely distributed versus concentrated. And we spoke about the monetary policy. It's transparent and predictable versus arbitrary. So Bitcoin is the only, and we don't think Bitcoin is crypto or crypto is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a different asset class in itself, and the only asset class which competes with gold from a store of value perspective. So Bitcoin is the best asset. There is no second best. This is the famous line that Michael keeps repeating. So one doesn't own Bitcoin just for its upside. You own Bitcoin because the rules don't change in mid-game, which means that it is a world where governed by rules without rulers. You own it because it settles globally in 10 minutes. So if you have Bitcoin, you can send it across the world to anyone, and it'll settle in 10 minutes. It is self-custodial. You can, and only you can own it. There is no third-party counterparty risk that you need to take unless you want to take. And it can't be frozen, diluted, defrauded upon. No one can stop you from holding it, owning it, or transferring it to someone. And I haven't found any other asset, so I'd be happy to see if anyone else can name any other asset like it. This is a steal from a tweet which came in, and we can send the link for that tweet and give credit to that person. So Bitcoin is digital capital, Bitcoin is digital property, Bitcoin is digital wealth, and in the future, Bitcoin will be digital money. We spoke about this from a Bitcoin services perspective. That's all that I had. I think I'm pretty much on time. That's all that I wanted to cover today.
Yeah.
Ayush, is there anything that I missed that you wanted to add?
Uh, no, I think it might be a good idea to like explain why GetBit is different from other exchanges, because most people would not understand that, like in terms of
Yeah,
self-custody and the risks of keeping Bitcoin on an exchange.
yeah, yeah. Great point. So, how GetBit is differentiated with any other crypto asset exchange that you might have heard, big ones within India, big ones globally as well. We compare ourselves from any other crypto exchanges or differentiate ourselves in three primary ways. One is we are Bitcoin only. We think from a digital asset perspective, Bitcoin is the equivalent of digital gold, and you should focus all your energy from a asset allocation perspective only on Bitcoin. Second is that we not only strongly believe in it, we actively promote self-custody. What does self-custody mean? That customers can not only buy Bitcoin, but they can also custody the Bitcoin or hold the Bitcoin in their own custody. How and why is that valuable? We all might have heard about both Indian exchanges and international exchanges in this space have got hacked and have faced some issues in the past on their security areas. So what self-custody allows you to do is allows you to remove all of those risks, and independent of what happens to the place where you bought Bitcoin, which is GetBit, your Bitcoin are fully safe and secure with you. and security custody sometimes can be a little challenging to understand, and that's where we have a simplified self custody offering where it becomes as simple as any other app in your iPhone, and you can manage that over your iPhone, and it can have multiple signatures around it, adding to the safety security of your coins for future. So that's the second. And third, last but not the least, is that we are highly focused on education, which means that reiterating, having these conversations, working with you individually across all aspects of adding Bitcoin to your family offices, to your founder promoter companies. Think about what are the requirements from a legal perspective, accounting perspective, any and every of those. Is we work very closely with you to end ensure that each of us can benefit from the monetary properties of Bitcoin.
Perfect. Yeah. I think let's open the floor for questions. If someone has any questions, you can unmute yourself or drop them in the comments and we'll take it up. I think Rajesh has a question. Yeah, you can unmute yourself, Rajesh.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
hi, hi,
feel
Abhay.
free
It
to
was
come on
nice meeting
camera,
you.
not come on camera, whatever you think. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it was nice meeting you. Actually, I have couple of questions. Is
Sure.
Gatewit is FIU registered one?
Oh yeah, great question. Yes, FIU registered. GetBit is FIU registered.
Okay. And my second question is, Bitcoin will replace our fiat currencies in future?
That's a great question. I don't know of how quickly will that happen. If I take a long enough time frame, and that length of time can be different, then there is a world that I can imagine where uh, where everyone transacts using sats or Bitcoin, and that is possible. The technology allows you to do it, and yeah, that's a possibility. I don't think that's happening in a hurry. I don't think that's happening in the next 10 to 15 years for sure, but it's a possibility.
Okay. And one more last question only.
Sure.
Where can I get the white paper for the Bitcoin?
Google it. It's very easy to find a white paper of
No,
Bitcoin.
actually, yeah, actually, I have
Okay.
Google, but
So,
I am not
Ay-
able to find that.
Ayush, can you send the link of white paper here?
That's it over here. Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone should read the white paper. White paper is basically what Satoshi Nakamoto had published to introduce Bitcoin to the world. And so that's the source piece of knowledge. That's where everything that is in the Bitcoin space came from. So it's very important that if you want to understand Bitcoin, go to the source, go directly to the source, and read what Satoshi Nakamoto had in mind when he introduced Bitcoin. He, she, they. Uh, yeah, I'll send the link to the this thing on the chat. But yeah, Hassan, you had a question, please.
Hi, Abhay. Abhay, so my question is, you told we consider Bitcoin as a digital gold, right?
Yes, Hassan.
Yeah. Why is the price increasing? What is the logic? So, for example, if the stock, there's a reason the
Yeah.
price increases, right? Because earnings is there, there's a future expectation on the money coming in, the business grows. Let's say for gold, it's hedged against currencies. So there's a demand for the
Yeah.
gold as such. So
Great
that is why
question.
the price increases. Like, why does a Bitcoin's price increase?
Great question. Great question. Yeah. So, if I go back to fundamentals of economics, economics 101, uh, demand and price meet at an equilibrium where if there is any product that we talk about, anything that we buy on a day-to-day basis, from potatoes and any other veggies that we might have bought, to televisions, to anything that we think about, whenever there is a increased in demand, and if there is correspondent how much supply can come in, the intersection of that will determine the price. So that is the fundamentals of from an economic of how price is determined. If you think about Bitcoin, the core Bitcoin monetary units, that there will only be ever 21 million Bitcoin. And no one, and it's been tested by multiple people to try and hack that and create more than 21 million, but no one has succeeded. So it's fairly established that there will always be only 21 million. Now, as the adoption increases, the price keeps increasing because more and more people understand Bitcoin, and because they understand Bitcoin, then they want to hold it. I think that's the reason why price increases ultimately, but maybe underlying layer of your question might have been, so what? If I created something which had only one unit, let's example, I scribbled something on a piece of paper and this is only one unit, will it become as valuable as the world's full asset? Likely no. The reason why Bitcoin is valuable is that in human history, everything of value is nothing but a ledger. And let me take a minute to explain this of what is a ledger. So if I have 10,000 rupees in HDFC, it's an entry in a ledger. It's the ledger of HDFC Bank. If I have a house, it's a ledger entry in the state or county books or district books saying Abhay owns this house in plot number this or flat in this property. So everything which is of value is in a ledger. And historically in human history before Bitcoin, every ledger had an owner. And the owner had the right, ability, or the opportunity to change the entry in the ledger at his or her whims and fancies. And this might be a lot to consume, so let me repeat it. So if I'm HDFC Bank, I will most likely not do it. I can convert that 10,000 into 100,000. I can call it banking error, or I can make that 10,000 as 1,000 or zero, because I am the owner of that ledger. I had the ability to update that ledger, right? And similarly, if I am the state, I can say, oh, now this property, it belonged to Abhay, but somehow something changed and now it belongs to Ayush. And so the state has that control, or whatever the county. Most people work in a system, or we are all used to a system where these things happen in different ways, but not so blatantly. So this example might sound a little tricky, but from a computer science discovery perspective, now imagine a ledger which is not owned by anyone, but always spits out the right number. Which means if I own 10,000 units, or 10,000 is a very big number today, but let's say I own one Bitcoin, or which is also measured in Satoshis, 100 million Satoshis, or 1 million Satoshis, let's say 0.01 Bitcoin, then no one, which means anyone with a bigger gun than a nuclear missile, can come and sit in front of me, but cannot change that ledger or edit that ledger. So this is the first time in human history that we have a ledger which cannot be changed by anyone. This is a ledger which is available as a public infrastructure for everyone. So everyone can write and read from that ledger, but no single human, group of human, nation, state with any power can change that ledger. Now that is the computer science discovery, which then people said, if there is such kind of a ledger which cannot be edited by anyone, then it sounds like a ledger that we want to use for calling it the monetary asset of the world. And gold played this kind of a role also, because effectively no one could create gold. Only God or nature had created X amount of gold and buried it in earth. Newton spent 10 years of his life trying to do alchemy and trying to create gold, after which he declared the gold standard and said that no one can create gold, so it's the best monetary asset, or it should be used as money, or it should be used as wealth. And that was what was used historically by human beings, because no one can control it, no one can create more of it. And that's the core fundamental property why Bitcoin is super valuable. I don't know, Hassan, long answer. I don't know whether I answered it, but this is a very, very good question.
I give that up. So my crux of the question was simple. So one thing, I think there's an event called Bitcoin halving, right? So eventually the supply is even reducing as we speak. Am I right?
You are
Correct?
right.
No, my only question stands. Let's say my only question stands here. Gold has a purpose, right? Why the gold value increases? We know the logic that governments to print money use gold as a reference point, correct? But why does Bitcoin? So I don't understand the fundamentals of. See, why does a stock? Why do I buy a stock today and expect it to grow up? Because eventually they run their business in the market, they make revenues, they make profit, and that profit is equivalent to my share. I mean, is parallel to what money I make in the market, correct? Likewise, debt is also the same concept. So any asset class, real estate is also the same. People keep increasing. There's a demand for the number of properties. Yes. And but for Bitcoin, what is the purpose of Bitcoin? Now that is my question. Okay, I
Yeah.
own it, right? Okay, fair
So
enough. I paid $80,000.
let's talk about gold. What's the purpose of gold? Why gold has value?
No, because gold only has a value because one, it's limited number of use. I mean, the supply is very limited. Two, that is used as a reference point to create a paper that is currency, create a currency which can be used to buy any other commodity.
Correct. So you are absolutely right. So there is scarce in supply. So gold is scarce in supply. And at some point in world's history, it was used as a reference frame for currency. None of the 160 countries today, post 1971, when US said the dollar is no more pegged to gold, it is a reference frame.
Yeah.
But no currencies. So RBI of India does not check how much gold does it have in its vault before it creates more monetary units. So yes, but at the back of mind, why does RBI keep buying gold, and why does China keep buying gold, and why central banks keep holding gold, is because of that memory somewhere that if the world goes through some crazy times, and if none of this paper which we believe that because it has value contains value, which happened in our living history. I was alive in 1991 when India went through a challenging time from a balance of payment perspective, and India had to ship gold out to be able to get some kind of relief on its balance of payment or debt from its holders. So what role gold plays is only because of core properties on gold. So compare Bitcoin with gold on properties, and hopefully you will most likely arrive at the same conclusion, where millions of people have arrived at the same conclusion, that historically what gold used to be, those same properties and better are available in Bitcoin. The big upgrade from gold is that it can be transmitted digitally. Gold cannot be transmitted digitally. It's physical in nature. Because it's physical in nature, I can put a gun to someone's head and try and steal. If I find the gold, I can steal it. I can't do that for Bitcoin. So it becomes more secure. And if you Google around, you will find that US just in the last 2 months has signed an executive order where they are saying that Bitcoin will be a strategic reserve next to gold from a US dollar's stability long-term perspective. So it is kind of replacing or coming shoulder to shoulder with gold. That's the argument. That's the value on Bitcoin, Hassan.
Hi, I have a question.
Sure,
How
Priya.
much more expensive is your Bitcoin compared to the exchanges in the other parts of the world when, like, because I know in India, when you buy Bitcoin, there is a premium to it. You have to pay for that additional cost. And
Yeah.
how liquid it is, like, do you have enough consumers or customers on your platform who will buy Bitcoin if someone wants to, or other, like someone wants to sell it? So how
Yeah.
easily is it doable?
Yeah, so great questions. Both, let me take those two questions. One, in terms of premium, the premium does vary based on market pricing. But for high net worth, for family offices, we have an OTC desk. Ayush works individually with that person, and we can assure you that you won't be able to find a better price in India than what we can offer. That is the answer for there will be a premium, but that premium
So
we are
today, if
very
Bitcoin is 84,000 or $85,000, how much more expensive would it be on on your exchange?
I think we can quickly pull out on our exchange, and I think what is the price, Ayush? Can you look and confirm what's the price on the exchange? And that's the retail price, Priya. When we work with high net worth individuals and family offices, we work with them based on how much they want to buy to ensure that that will be the best price that will be available in anywhere else compared to from an Indian rupees perspective.
And do you strategize with doing the average a price if to a certain, like, number, like, hey, it doesn't go, you don't keep, say if you want to buy it at, say, an average price, you keep lowering it as opposed to making it go higher, like,
Yeah,
anyway, you can finish answering the first question, then we'll get to this one.
Sure. So that was the first part of the question. The second part of it is liquidity. Yes, liquidity is so there are two challenges on liquidity. There is not enough liquidity in the Indian market to buy Bitcoin itself. So that liquidity is a big challenge if any large buyer wants to buy Bitcoin, and especially if they want to buy and self custody that Bitcoin. There is a huge liquidity challenge on on being able to buy. And then that corresponds then from a sell perspective also. So for a retail buyer, I would say that it's very easy for someone to easily buy and sell whatever is the retail quantity that they might want to buy. But if you're talking about more than 3, 4, 5 Bitcoin, then liquidity on both the sell side and buy side needs to be pre-agreed and pre-arranged for.
And how long is that process?
2 working days, Priya.
Working days. Okay. And how secure is your exchange in terms of, like?
That's a very, very good question, Priya. So our exchange is only as secure as any other technology exchange which is there, and we take it with a pinch of salt of saying we do everything which is needed, but we understand that in this industry there has been breaches, and that is where we strongly work with our high net worth individuals to do self custody. And in self-custody, we have a multi-sig self-custody offering. There has never been in the history of Bitcoin's existence a single breach where a multi-sig custody wallet has ever been breached. So by virtue of the multi-sig custody solution that we offer in the market, we are 100% confident that any customer who uses multi-sig custody offering that we offer, their coins are 100% protected.
Thanks. But you didn't answer the question of what's the premium on a Bitcoin if bought on your
Yeah,
exchange.
The
Ayush,
price right now is 75 8,30,000, and the Google price, the price on Google right now is somewhere around, yeah, 7170. So there's a premium of like uh 380 to retail customers, but yeah, that varies for.
In terms of percentage?
4% to 5% is what approximately, I did a rough math, 71 lakh, 75 lakh, 4 lakhs of 71 is approximately 5% is what I can see, 4 to 5%.
Thank you.
Priya, I love the questions. I think you've spent some time on Bitcoin, so I love the questions. Thank you so much for those questions.
Yeah, I think let's address. Okay, let's address Cyril first. Cyril has a question, and then we move to questions in the chat.
Thank you, Ayush. Hello, Abhay. Cyril here. Just wanted to understand, amidst the global economic uncertainty, is Bitcoin still a safe asset to buy and hold?
It is, Cyril. I think it becomes more important given the global uncertainty to find assets which are more neutral and which can survive the chaos which we are facing in the world. So, in a very very non-chaotic business as usual environment, you might be more okay to own other assets and be comfortable with it. But in a chaotic environment, you need to find assets which are outside of the control and influence of especially the large players in the market. And in this case, on the global scenario, it's US, China, European Union. Those are the large players in this space. And I think having an asset which is independent of any influence from a political uncertainty is a very big plus point. So I would say, given the political and macroeconomic and political uncertainty, Bitcoin is the best asset to hold, in my opinion.
Thank you.
Aryan says the safest. I would agree. I would say +1. Okay. Bhavna had a question on the chat, and Shambhavi had a question. So let's see, Bhavna. What could be security threats for Bitcoin users, and how can individual entities mitigate that risk? Bhavna, great question. So the most common risk for Bitcoin holders. So there are two categories of Bitcoin holders. One, who leave their coins on exchange, and then second, who do self-custody. So if you're leaving it on exchange, then the biggest threat is whether that exchange or whoever is the counterparty that you're leaving your coins at, whether they can go rogue, or they can get bankrupt, or they can get attacked. So that's the biggest, if you are leaving any coins on any exchange. So if you're using any generic exchange, which most of the times don't even allow self-custody, then that's the biggest risk that you are running, whether the exchange will remain at all in business. And if the exchange doesn't remain in business, and there are hundreds of examples of that, whether the coins that you had in exchanges of any meaning if the exchange itself doesn't remain. So that's one, which is the reason why we actively not only promote but actually push our customers to do self-custody. 92% of our customers or coins get self-custodied. Now, if we think about persona of customers who do self-custody, what is the biggest risk that they have? The biggest risk that they have is key management, key security, and someone getting access to their seed phrases and key. That's the biggest risk that they hold. So that protecting their seed phrase and how can they ensure that their key does not get compromised is the biggest risk. And the most common ways to address that risk is to create a multi-sig solution, which means there are like a check, like a bank account which has which needs multiple signatures before your check can be passed. Similarly, in Bitcoin, there is a process by which there's multiple signatures which are needed before your coin can be moved from point A to point B. So that's the multi-sig solution. Those who graduate to multi-sig self-custody then have the risk of how to reduce geographical risk, that if any natural disaster happens. So example, if you would have heard the news, there was a very big fire event in Los Angeles area, and a lot of high net worth individuals and families, houses were burnt, and there were stories of many people who had kept their seed phrases and their hardware devices in their houses, and many of them were not able to recover them post the fire. So those are the other risks, which then needs multi-institutional, multi-sig, where the signatures can be geographically distributed. And if for any unfortunate incident, this kind of things happen, then you can recover your keys through this multi-institutional, multi-sig process. Bhavna, did that answer your question?
Yeah, thanks, Abhay. Thanks.
Great. Okay, let's look at what is Shambhavi's question. What is the legal status of Bitcoin? Are there any family offices in India that already have Bitcoin? Shambhavi, again, a great question. Yes, not only one, multiple family offices in India already have Bitcoin, and there could be multiple reasons why they got and how they got introduced to Bitcoin. But yeah, so some of the people who might have already attended might be on the call, might also be have been with have Bitcoin. So from a legal status perspective, it's fully legal. There is a podcast that I did with Cyril from Nishit Desai and Associate. Nishit Desai and Associate is a very large law firm based out of Mumbai. We can send the link of that, or you can search it, Abhay and Cyril Desai podcast, where he clearly explains of how holding Bitcoin as an individual, as family offices, as corporation, all of that is legal and allowed in India, and there are no restrictions and no challenges for anyone to hold Bitcoin. Okay, we are almost at the end of the hour.
1 hour mark. We'll take one more question if someone has it. Hassan, or okay, I think the people have left.
I
but
have a
yeah.
hard stop, so I'll make a move, please. Yeah. Thanks, Ayush.
Yeah.
Thanks, Abhay.
All right. Thank you guys for joining.
Okay, great. Can we stop recording? Let's
Yeah.
see. Because